and here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Roger roll, Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalizer.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Well, welcome back. It's Booster 21's time for a static fire test, we now believe. It feels like there's been no time at all since they rolled out on the pad, so that's something we're expecting in the future where they turn around things pretty fast. We are expecting a static fire test. Of course, you know, booster testing never gives many notifications away, apart from the obvious signs we've learned from experience of following these tests. So, let's introduce who we got on with us. Start with Max. Hello, Max.
Good morning, everybody.
We've also got Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Morning, everyone. Having my coffee. Hopefully, you have a booster static fire today.
Yep, and I think the first question I've seen, by the way, you can ask questions by doing that NASASpaceflight follow-away question or NSF follow-away question in chat, and then we'll put it on screen like this one from Mark. How long till they start? So I think that's a good way of asking Ryan, where are we right now, and when do we expect tanking to begin?
So, methane reclaim vent started around 7:15. Road's already closed. They have not fully cleared the pad yet. Pad clear will be pretty obvious when they go ahead and roll the booster transport stand down Highway 4. With the methane reclaim vent having started at this point in time, if we go by booster 20 static fire, they will load in 2 hours and they'll test in about an hour and a half, 2.5 hours, I should say. If they go by even like booster 19, static fire stuff, maybe a chill down of an hour and a half till load. So they would load at what? If I'm doing math in my head early in the morning, but it'll be an hour and a half to load till prop load, and then of course about 35 minutes to prop load, and then static fire. Either way, we are likely within 2 to 2.5 hours away from seeing a test. Very likely a static fire, especially with the booster transport stand set to leave the launch site. They only usually do that when they're going to fire up those engines. There, it's sitting at the entrance right there waiting for everything else to be cleared, and then they'll park it on Highway 4 and sit it right there. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Max, we're going to have a lot of questions, and I completely expect this about Louisiana still, which is completely fine because that's where everyone's interested. What I've done is I've pinned in chat the article from the script, which is actually a different article from the script itself. It's written in article form with an embedded video, what Ryan Caton put together yesterday, which I think covers a lot of the bases. So a lot of the bases are covered in that pin link where you get an article to read, and if you want more, you can click on the video that's embedded into the article from Ryan, which shows you loads of visuals and what have you. So that covers all the bases on that one. We'll still take questions, of course, but as a kind of like foundation to what people may be thinking, well, why are people asking about Louisiana? What's happened there? They can click on that link and get the news article on it and get everything they need for resources and ask questions as well. So that's the way it works. Let me just come to Max about that. Louisiana, the interest overnight, I mean, it's still there. Everyone's fascinated by it. And I've got a question here from Cool Kids saying, do you think that 10 towers at Starport, they call it Starport, will have 5 catch towers and 5 launch towers? Or do you think it's going to be 10 launch and catch towers?
Based just on the render that they released, it looked like 10 capable 10 launch capable towers, at least that's what it looked like. But I would not be surprised if they end up building more there. I know Elon posted on X that there may be more like a dozen or more than that even at one point in time. But it's captured everybody's attention because everything that it is or what they're aiming it to be eclipses everything in Starbase and everything here in Florida, which is not something we're quite used to be honest with you. Like it's aimed to be the primary launch site for like 90% of Starship operations, or maybe probably closer to like 70 or maybe around there. But like 10 or more launch pads is nothing to scoff at, and that signifies both confidence from SpaceX in that site working out, and in terms of what Starship is going to be capable of launching from a site like that.
Very good, Ryan. Beach is closed. Did we mention that yet? Because if we haven't, we can do it now.
It is closed. Yep, beach is closed. Roads closed. They just haven't cleared the pad yet. That's the last step for that.
Very cool. Chat's also going about this name change in YouTube's chat. I've not yet seen it, but I'm in the best mode, which is light mode. Maybe it's a dark mode thing, but old browser thing even. But a few people have said it, that the way YouTube displays when I type in chat like that, I'm going to go, hello, wait for it. Hang on, I'll do it. Hello. See, when I do that, to me, that's yellow and normal, but people are seeing a change. It's typical YouTube. If something's not broken, they'll go, let's change it. That's what we'll do. So it's not us. It's the way YouTube displays things for certain people. That's all it is. Ryan, as far as what we've got coming up, Sputnik wants to know what's the difference between the tank farm preparing for static fire here versus at Masses?
Between here and Massey's, the pumps are slightly different. At least the LOX pumps are different compared to what they use at the launch site compared to Massey's. And same thing with LC-39A. It looks like this. They only use these pumps here, and they're going to switch over to a different set over at Massey, at their other pads. In terms of chill down, it's basically the same. Massey's doesn't take as long because there's not as much stuff to chill down. There's more pumps, more subcooling capacity, larger lines. There's more stuff to chill down at the pad than there is at Massey's to get to a ship static fire. Basically all it is they start the flow of gas, cold gas, and then liquid, whether that's methane or oxygen through the lines to slowly chill down the lines, get them cold, get them to the correct temperatures. They have to do that from everything from the storage tanks all the way to the pad. And then they start kind of subcooling prop a little bit. That's where you see the subcoolers really engaged, so then they can get the temperatures even colder. And then when they go into prop load, the subcoolers really engage and you're flowing subcooled liquid through those. So the whole reason for the chill down is because you don't want to shock cool your lines. You want to chill them down to the correct temperature slowly, because if you do it too quickly, you could crack and cause damage, and you don't really want to do that. You want to save your prop lines. So.
Very good. Some support already. So very, I can't speak today. Thank you for your support. It really is very generous. It always catches me out. That's why I usually mumble and stumble over it, because I don't expect it. I really don't. So when I look at the panel and I start seeing this, such as Joshua, who's done good morning from Lafayette, Louisiana, around 40 minutes from Starbase, Louisiana. If you ever find yourself there and want gumbo, I've got you. Now, someone showed me a photograph of gumbo. It looked far too colourful for my Englishness, right? Because if it's not beige, it's technically not edible as far as Yorkshire rules go. But I appreciate
also
it.
Seasoning too, Chris.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to do a chat interactive thing here. Chat. Who in chat likes gumbo? Yes or no? Max, do you like gumbo?
I've actually never had gumbo, so I can't really say.
Ryan, have you had gumbo?
I have not.
Oh. It sounds a bit like haggis. By the way, I didn't thank Jay Keegan, the producer, who was producing the stream, because my mind then went to haggis as something that I've never had, and Jay is Scottish, so there we go. But it's chat is yes, lots of yeses from chat. There we go. I'll try it. I'll try anything once. But anyway, thank you for your support. Very much appreciate it. And as far as Louisiana goes, yeah, we are doing what we can on evaluations. I'll leave it at that. There's far more cleverer people than me who work on these kind of things. I'm just a pretty face. And it's enough for now. I wish that was true. Telstar86, good morning to all space fans looking at this glorious views of Starbase. Thanks for covering NSF. Let's hope all goes well today. What a lovely message to put with your support. That was really cool. Artist has become a Capcom member, which means you'll be in our Discord within an hour. It takes about an hour between YouTube and Discord to integrate. It's automated. But it will do, and we'll see you in our Discord, which is a real fun place, and I spend way too much time in, I must admit. Bideford's here. Good mornings, fellow nerds. Okay, either my screen is having an issue viewing a tower, or the tower seems a shade off peculiar, or I need more coffee to straighten my eyes. I think you need more coffee, Bideford. Happy days. There we go. Central wants to know, is Ship 40 still in the ocean? Now, that's a fair question, because my mind went to, my mind went to, of course it is. It's going to take weeks to get it back to Starbase.
Technically, it is not in the ocean anymore.
There we go. Yeah. Ryan, explain.
It is not in the ocean. It is actually sitting in its cradle on the deck of the Forte. They picked it up over the course of the night. Nighttime U.S., daytime out there, because, time zones. It is picked up. It is in the cradle. They will get to fully securing it probably over the next day or so. And then it's to watch for when the Forte sets off and which direction it goes, whether it goes around the Cape of Good Hope or through the Panama Canal and back. Now, it's going to take a bit to get back, about 50-ish days for that trek. But it is out of the water now and on the deck in its cradle, as you can see right there.
Look at that.
Out of the water.
Wow.
It's kind
Ship
of
looks
shocking
tiny compared to that.
I was just going to say, it takes a lot to make any part of Starship look small, and Ship genuinely looks tiny there. That's incredible. You might be able to fit a full stack on that, honestly.
Oh yeah, you probably could.
We're all thinking, have we got a ship big enough? Well, yeah, they do. Look at that.
Oh, there's ships even way bigger than that are semi-submersibles. That pick up oil rigs.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Max,
heavy engineering for the win.
In Starship update, I keep saying Starbase update too. In Starship update, Max, you were talking about how long it'll take to come back. We're talking about 40 odd days, aren't we?
Somewhere it's between 40 and 50. I think it depends on weather and what pace they end up actually managing, and also what route they take.
And weather
right now,
and...
it depends. They can either come back through the Panama Canal and cross the Pacific, or go around Africa, around the Cape of Good Hope, and come back in through the Gulf. Either way, it's between 40 and 50 days. Assuming all goes well, we're giving them probably around a week there to make sure ship is secured before they end up leaving their current location. But that puts it right about in the middle of October for an ETA right now.
Very good. Liz Marshall, this one for you, Ryan. Do you think that Texas will change to R&D only? And to where do you think HLS will fly from? Because that question's actually kind of historical, because Elon at some point did suggest that Starbase was going to turn to an R&D kind of launch site compared to everywhere else, and that their main launches will be from the Cape. And of course, now Louisiana's in the mix. Do you think that Starbase will remain a primary launch site in its own right with the two pads, even though it's only going to be two pads? Or do you think they will start thinking, let's do experimental launches from Starbase only?
So I think it'll be both. I think Starbase is going to be operational launches. HLS and stuff like that is going to go out of 39A. 37 will probably be a little bit more dedicated to DoD launches because it's within the base and whatnot. Starbase will be able to do Starlink missions. It'll be able to do tanker missions. In theory, you could do planetary, interplanetary missions out of it, but I think it's going to be mostly Starlink and tanker runs, maybe even depot launches. It'll also be R&D. That's where they have masses, where they have all the structural testing. There's going to be a lot of R&D that happens at Starbase over time, and there might be R&D launches out of Starbase, but it'll still be an operational site. If it was going to be R&D only, they wouldn't be running a gas line and doing methane liquefaction and building an ASU. They wouldn't do that if this was R&D only. That and the capacity they have for that tank farm plus 2 pads, no, they're wanting to fly out of Starbase as much as they possibly can. And then as for Louisiana, really Louisiana is perfect for their Star Mine constellation and for SSO polar Starlink launches. They can go straight down the Gulf of Mexico and do a ton of those launches. That is what Louisiana will be perfect for. If they want to do other inclinations, they either have to fly over the southern tip of Louisiana or dogleg it. So that gets a little bit iffy there. But once Starship flies enough, that really shouldn't be an issue once it becomes reliable enough. But you're going to have at least 3, possibly more pads out of the Cape. Who knows if they get another launch site out there. And then you've got 2 at Starbase. And as of right now, 10 slated to be built at Louisiana Starbase. And Elon kind of hinted at possibly more than a dozen. So they have more land there. They can extend it out. Although the train, if you go from the edge of the Star Factory that they want to build there all the way to the end of the row of pads, that is the same distance if you were to go from the tip of 39B to 36.
Yeah.
That's how far it's what is it? I think it's 12. 1 sec, I had it is 12 miles in length for all the pads and everything else. So Starship, they already have more pads than almost any rocket in history, and Starship's going to even eclipse that. Right now, what is that? That's 15 launch pads based off renders and everything else. 5 currently in construction, 1 operational, 4 in different phases of construction, and another 10 planned.
Yep.
Which is nuts. That's insane. It's insane to think about how many pads that is. Like, truly insane.
Ryan's finished. There we go.
Sorry.
I'm a numpty, as everyone knows, and I was busy typing away in Starbase Live when I thought I was in this live stream. That's what I do. I have Starbase Live on all the time, so that's proof because I've just put I've now put the Booster 21 Static Fire stream link into Starbase Live, and I put the Louisiana overview into this stream, which is where I should have done it in the first place. So now we know we're up to date. We are where we should be. Status update, Ryan. Where are we with the venting we're seeing from the tank farm?
Things are still in chill down. They've started chilling down the liquid methane subcoolers for the booster as well. So everything's proceeding just fine. You can see the see if that works there. So this is the so we got the reclaim vent over on the left. The center vent, which kind of just died down a bunch right there. That was the liquid methane subcooler vent, and then the big vent that you see all the way on the right there that's constantly going, that is the box fan, as I have explained a few times to everyone. It's a fan. It's a box of fans at the bottom of it. Basically what it does is it creates an updraft of air, and they dump some liquid oxygen plus liquid nitrogen exhaust into that updraft, and it kind of disperses it up and out rather than dumping it on the ground like they did over at Pad 1. They have the same thing over at Massey's. They have the same thing at LC-39A, and they're going to have the same thing at Slick 37B. And they're going to have 5 of them, at least 5 at Louisiana, probably more because they're probably going to make a Massey's type facility there as well for ship testing. That's not in the render, but I almost guarantee they're going to need that. So, yep, it's the new system they're using, and they're going to use it everywhere. So,
there we go. Saber, I'm reading chat at the same time. Saber is a Discord link to join. It's automated. There we go. Someone's put the Nightbot command in. It's automated. As soon as you become a Capcom or above member, it will integrate between your YouTube membership and the Discord membership you've got. So that's how it does it. I don't have to press any buttons, which is a relief because that would go very wrong. Max, Josh, the FBVP. That's hard to say for some reason. I hope Booster 21 behaves so we can get a possible double catch on future flights. So, future flights, we have to have this one go well. If it fails again on either the boost back or the landing burn, I don't think they're going to risk going back to the pad for a catch or booster anytime soon. But the ship might happen on the next flight. But if the booster behaves, are we going to get a double catch, do you reckon?
Assuming everything goes well on 14, I believe so. But I think they're at the point now where SpaceX really needs Booster 21 to do what they want it to do. Because by now, I want to say they would have wanted to have caught at least a booster by now and maybe have even prepped it for a reflight in maybe 2 or 3 missions upcoming. They're a bit behind in that front, and the version 3 booster has proven to be a bit more tricky than I guess they would have thought. But then again, it shares like basically nothing in common with the version 1 and 2 boosters that they became used to from Flight 1 on, well, mostly Flight 2 onwards. So I hope so. I really hope so. This booster has to do what SpaceX wants it to do. Otherwise, that just keeps pushing more milestone missions down the line. And certainly, booster reuse needs to become a thing if they want to keep up launch cadence. Because certainly, ship production right now is not the issue if they want to support a high launch cadence. But booster production is, and especially for vehicles that they want to ship to Florida, we don't know exactly what is going to be the first. Is it going to be the first ever caught booster, and then had that shipped here to be reflown here for the first time? We have no idea at this point, but they're behind on the booster front, and they really do need to get booster doing what they want it to do. So hopefully a double catch on Flight 15 if all goes well on 14, but we have to get 14 done and out of the way first.
Very good. Speaking of launch cadence, this is something we talked about on Raptor Side, Ryan. Alexander, thanks for your support, by the way, Alexander. For the proposed launch cadence from 15 sites, how on earth are they going to identify enough liquid oxygen to launch them all? The maths is boggling.
It is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. I think overall that is the biggest hurdle they've got. The pad turnaround, I think they can pull that off. That you just got to design the pad right, have the right water deluge and everything else. Vehicles, you need to have enough of them in order to swap them out if you need to, and they need to be refurbishable enough. I think they can pull that off too. Ship is going to be one of those ones where you might have to swap off a lot to do heat shield repairs, but we'll see how that goes. The biggest thing is commodities. They need a metric boatload. It's hard to describe how much they truly need of liquid oxygen, liquid methane, liquid nitrogen, and water, for that matter, even with just water. Just to say, every single launch, they use 400,000 gallons of water. Every launch. Times that by 30. They want to do $30 and 30 launches in a day, I mean. For liquid, liquid methane, and liquid oxygen and stuff like that. The kind of masses they got to do, and this is just block 3. This isn't the block 4 that they showed in those renders, the V4, where it's, the ship is extended and the booster is extended. Currently, an entire stack uses around 1,300 metric tons of liquid methane and around almost 4,300 metric tons of liquid oxygen. That's per launch. Times that by 30. That's a lot. The best ASU, one of the biggest ASUs in the world, they can do 5,000 metric tons of liquid oxygen a day. I think to truly run even just Louisiana, what they can do is they can run a gas line off from close by, because there's a bunch of LNG production. It's like 40 miles away. It's not even that far away. Or something like that. They can run a gas line to their Louisiana site and do a massive methane liquefaction on site. They can build multiple ASUs to tie into their tank farm systems. And all this is going to require a ridiculous amount of power. And then on top of that, you need the water. So desalination plants pull the water straight from the Gulf and and you'll have to purify it or at least make it somewhat. You have to make it into potable water, basically, and then you have to pump that in. I like to run all this. You're talking like a nuclear reactor. I think they just build a fusion reactor at Louisiana, massive desalinization plant, massive ASUs and LNG liquefaction. Boom, done. Fusion, right? Like SpaceX can do that, right? Right.
Well, we'll soon find out. Just to completely change the tone of the conversation, we've gone back to Gumbo. Bideford's come back to say, yuck, Gumbo, don't bother trying Gumbo for your attention. My daughter lives down there, and so I'm trying to find out how far away she is from future Starbase, Louisiana. Yeah, there's a lot of people I've found. Since the announcement, a lot of people have got in touch saying they're pretty close by. It might come in very handy for Anthony McQuaid's question, is it viable to set up a 24/7 stream for Starbase Louisiana in the future? Probably with a ton of money, it would be, which is not something we have, contrary to popular belief. Oh, YouTubers can make lots of money. Doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. We are evaluating all options we can do. And people are asking, what are our plans? No chance I'm going to go on YouTube and start telling people what we're thinking. We're going to do evaluations best we can. Obviously, it's not something we'd go, nah, can't do that. We've found ways of doing things that are not possible. Starbase Live, the amount of cameras we've got on sites of our own land, and that was a gamble at the back of the time, is crazy. The installations are crazy. These are not iPhones stuck in a camera with a... Oh, Max, you can talk about it. You've been out there with the cameras, and you know about cameras.
Yes.
The installations on these... The view we've got right now, for example, that is not just some like camera on a pole stuck in the ground, is it?
No, this is from our south lot. So obviously being south of the launch site, and it is literally an entire setup over there. There's solar panels, there's multiple like poles for cameras, poles for comms boxes. Like, it's an entire unit. I don't have any photos of south on me. I know DOS has showed those, I believe, on a Raptor site or two before. But yes, our camera sites are not just like cameras on poles and like batteries. Like, it's far more complex than that, and there has been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into making sure that those are built correctly and built well. So it's a much bigger task than a lot of people think. But that is why our field teams are like among the best people, because this is a lot to manage.
Very good. A lot of people in chat asking when the T0 is. Even SpaceX won't know. And I say that with confidence because they basically get the tank farm to a condition they're happy with. Then they'll start prop loading when they're happy to do so. And then they'll work it out T0 and they won't tell anybody. So we'll have to work it out for ourselves. We can work it out for ourselves because we get a lot of indications. Oh, there's one of the bots. Look, see? Look at all that big tower. The camera itself is... I wonder if someone's going to turn the camera to look at each other. They've done that before. It's kind of funny. In fact, we won't concentrate on the booster mode, but look at the tower on the right-hand side. That's ours, on our land. That's bonkers. That is not cheap. That is not cheap in any sense. But thanks to your support, we can do this. And literally has been community support over the years that we've been continuing to build up and build up and build up. Support such as from TM Crate 25 Gaming, which is a name I butchered, I know I have, but there we go. Do you think we'll ever see overseas launch sites? Maybe Brazil, South Africa, Australia? And I'm going to put in Scarborough, East Yorkshire, just for the mix, because it's just up the road from me, and it would be a wonderful coastal launch site, or maybe even a point-to-point site. I could go and see Max within 30 minutes.
Hey,
look at that. You see?
That'd be great.
Yeah,
come see Atlantis, Chris.
Scarborough to Florida. Perfect. There we go. But Max, do you think we'll ever see overseas launch sites because of the ITAR thing or what have you?
I think it is well within the realm of possibility, especially with countries in the Five Eyes, and that is the five countries that are closest, being USA, Canada, the UK, New Zealand, and Australia. So I would not put it out. I would say it is well within the realm of possibility to have a launch site well overseas somewhere, especially with what SpaceX wants to do and how often they want to launch, and depending on what markets and people they want to be serving. I think at some point in the future, once they have everything in the U.S. sorted to where they want and the needs justify having to expand outside of U.S. borders, I definitely think so. But that's at least, oh Lord, probably at least 10 years out, if not more. But obviously, they just announced Louisiana. Like they haven't even broken ground there yet, as far as we're aware. So it's one step at a time right now for to start.
Very good. Ryan, this is going to be an easy one for you. Why don't they staticify the booster with the ship stacked to be close to launch conditions?
They don't want to pull a New Glenn. Like, dude, and also, what's that gonna do for the that? It doesn't really do anything to help the vehicle or get you any extra data that you wouldn't already get. There's a reason why they only fill the booster with enough methane to do the static fire, and they don't do it anymore. Because if something were to happen, then the explosion is limited. So they don't do a wet dress plus a static fire. Which is, I think, a lesson that another company has certainly learned at this point. So, yeah.
Very good. Now, I've only been on for a bit, but I wasn't meant to be on. So the idea is we've got the wonderful tones of Ryan Caton coming on to host, along with Alex joining us. Hello, Ryan Caton.
Hello, everybody. Beautiful morning in Starbase, Texas. Very early morning in Starbase, Texas. You know, I feel like I don't want to jinx things, but we had a wonderful on-time rollout and maybe a wonderful on-time test today. I mean, who could have guessed? I don't think this has ever happened in the history of Starbase.
Commentator's curse is a real thing, Ryan. Be careful.
Yeah.
But as Chris said, we also have Alex with us. We have a very happy Alex.
Very happy? What are you talking about?
You have so much energy for this time of the day.
I mean, yeah. So we were doing. This is a bit of a, because now that he called me out about this, we were doing voice checks before on another channel, and I was called out thinking that I was having coffee or anything. I have not had coffee in 6 months. Just saying, like, I'm just like this. But anyway,
yeah. It would be very believable if you said that you had had like 10 cups of coffee in the last 5 minutes. Like, we would believe you, just for the record.
I don't think that fits in my stomach, frankly.
Just had a shot of espresso, so
I have a Red
I will
Bull.
need some kind of version 4 stretch in my stomach to be able to feel all that. Alex version 4? I don't know. Whatever. Let's continue.
Well, let's talk about the upcoming flight, because Booster 21 obviously going to be a very important component of the upcoming mission alongside Ship 41, its pair. Seb's Icaro, sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, but they are asking, do you think Ship 41 is going fully orbital? I would hope that we're all kind of in consensus about this, but Max, I really hope so, even if SpaceX hasn't said anything definitive black and white, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the logical next step, and certainly their wording in the post about Ship 41 static fire over at Massey's, so it wasn't exactly specific to Flight 14, but was broader in context to upcoming flights, but that's not to say it couldn't include Flight 14 as well. If they want to jump right into a ship catch on Ship 15, on Flight 15, if 14 goes well, it seems like too big of a risk to try and catch a ship when, like, the first time you go orbital without the ship being able to prove that it can deorbit itself and come back in a controlled manner. So I think that seems like the logical next step here from a Flight 14 perspective. So I think that's what I believe SpaceX is going to be targeting. And if that goes well and Booster 21 does what they want it to do with the boost back and landing burn in the Gulf on Flight 14, then we could be in for a Hail Mary on Flight 15, being a double catch attempt of both booster and ship.
Might even call it a project.
Like Project Ignition?
No, like Project Helm. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh
Joke
my God.
right over his head.
Literally, I didn't even...
And reference, too.
I didn't even catch that. I'll see myself out.
Yeah.
We have a question from Max JC 8695, specifically addressed to Ryan Webber. So let's get Alex to answer this one. No, Ryan, why do you think there are catch towers at the Cape but not Louisiana? I think we should probably quickly disclaim that the catch towers at the Cape are in planning stages only, and what we've seen in Louisiana are very provisional renders early. But take it away.
I would say the only mention of the catch towers have come in the environmental impact statements, so the EIS. For 37 and 39A, they have not built them yet. As of right now, they are nowhere close to even building one. They have not started pilings for anything. I think right now, SpaceX is going to just use their launch towers and launch pads as it is, and work around having to catch between ships and boosters, between pads and all that other fun stuff. They're going to work around that. If for some reason, when they start to like really ramp up the cadence, if they think they need a catch towers, they can go ahead and build them. They can probably get, with pilings and everything, they can probably get a catch tower up and running within probably a year. Once they start building one. If they have the materials stored off to the side, because manufacturing a lot of that steel takes a while. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to just kind of go with what they've got right now. If they think they need the catch towers, they'll build them. Otherwise, I think they're going to probably just go with what they've got. They'll catch the booster on the pad. They'll get the booster off the pad. They'll catch the ship on the same one. Or in terms of Slick 37 or Starbase, they catch the booster on one, ship on the other, and then launch on an R or whatever like that. They might do something along those lines. But once cadence really gets up is going to be, I think, the decision point on whether or not to actually make those catch towers.
Fantastic. Continuing to watch Booster 21 at Pad 2 in Starbase. Tank Farm doing its thing at this wonderful time of day, just past 8 o'clock in the morning. Sun continuing to rise. If it wasn't, I'd be rather concerned. Jaggerfish is asking, Alex, I'll throw this one over to you. Which do you think is more important for SpaceX in the short term? Is it booster recovery or Starship recovery?
In the very short term, I think it's going to be booster recovery. And by short term, I mean next few flights, basically. Like, if for whatever reason Flight 14 were to go wrong with the ship, for example, say it gets stuck in orbit or something weird like that, but the booster does achieve a splashdown, that will still probably be good for them because they probably want to have those boosters back as soon as possible. For two main reasons. The first one is boosters are more complicated to build, not only because they're bigger, but also because they have a lot of more plumbing involved especially in the engine section, basically. Like, that's the hardest part to build of the boosters. The ships, you may think, well, it's got the flaps, it's got the tiles and whatever, so that's still more hardware that you have to install, so of course that's more complex, but it's really not that much more complex when it comes to just, bolting a few things here and there, and the tiles can get basically applied as the barrels are made, so it's not a huge deal in that sense. They have a good run and a good progress on installing those things. Whereas with the boosters, we've seen in the past that it takes a while to make, especially some of the high plumbing parts of the booster, like the engine section. The other hand as well is that they basically dump 33 Raptor engines every single time they splash down one of these boosters. So if they can get back one of those, it's going to be good for them to be able to continue reusing the Raptors, reusing the boosters, and perhaps even one of them going to Florida as well and starting launches from Florida. So I think in the very, very, very short term, and by that, as I said, I mean like maybe the next 2 or 3 flights, basically, they need booster reuse to occur, booster recovery to occur. And then, beyond that, then ship recovery starts getting more important because, of course, they're going to need to also reuse the ships. But the ships, as I said, they are being built at a much higher pace. I mean, today we just saw the ship cryostand going back to the production site. So it's probably going to go out and pick up ship 42, which is the one for the following flight after this one. And meanwhile, booster 22 is not that far ahead. Like, it was fully stacked just a few weeks ago. It still has a few more weeks probably to go until it goes through cryo. So they're a little bit behind on boosters, whereas ships, they are further ahead. And so, yeah, probably I will say like that. Boosters first, then ships.
And we have another question here. Again, talking about the beautiful renders of Starbase Louisiana we saw yesterday for the very first time. Fred Camera is asking, what do you think of the V4 renders? And do you think 2 grid fins was a mistake? Max, I think we should probably take renders like that with a mountain of salt, not a pinch of salt, because they often miss out little details, right? This is probably not a schematic of exactly how V4 is going to look.
I mean, it does sort of, in a way, match some of the V4 renders that SpaceX has released. In that both the booster and the ship, especially the ship, are noticeably longer than version 3, like extensively so to the point where the nose of the ship is well above the very top of the tower. So, and also, if you look at the shines on the booster compared to how they are at Pad 2, the shines are like opposite to how they are now, which would indicate either they rendered the booster backwards, or they're going to be changing the orientation for boosters going forward, I guess. I don't know. But like you were saying, renders can be taken with a grain of salt. But version 4 is still like, every time I see it, I kind of have to like shift in my seat, like, ooh, I don't like that. Like the proportions just seem a bit too off for me. It's very like
wrong.
It looks very like New Glenn 9x4, with the exception of the super wide base and the bulbous fairing. Like that's kind of what that's what I think of first. Like it's just long. It's a very long rocket, but like,
and it's still not as long as Falcon 9 in terms of how wide it is.
No.
So,
I mean, in Falcon 9 basically is as tall as it can be for how wide it is. I mean, mind you, Falcon 9 was engineered to be transported on public roads, and that is what dictated its diameter. Whereas Starship, it wasn't designed with that I can't say the freaking word, limitation in mind. Like it wasn't designed to be transported on public highways across the country. I mean, obviously, it's being barged from Starbase to Florida. So
I did the math on this, by the way, and for Starship to have the same fineness ratio, which is basically the ratio between how tall it is and the diameter of the rocket, as Falcon 9, then it will have to be 172 meters tall. So in theory, if they want to make it as thin and as Falcon 9 in terms of proportions, they could make it 172 meters tall, which is about another 20 more meters beyond what they planned for version 4. So they could make it longer if they wanted to.
Wait, Alice, what was it? 174? Sorry, I'm being
172.
172.
That in
good God,
would
that's
be 565 basically.
564.3 feet. Oh my God, that's a tall rocket.
Currently,
it is.
It's gonna be around 100. It's supposed to be like 147 to 150. So I think someone, if those are as accurate as they are, ship is up to 67 meters, and booster would be like 80.
Sorry.
So almost the same, and of course 9 engines on the ship, and then you're probably looking at a 10,000 ton thrust booster, alongside that. So. I'm still kind of annoyed with this. Make the tower taller. Dear Lord,
it's just like for some reason it like poking so far above the tower is just like tickling all the wrong parts of my brain. Like it's just like. But that would also indicate that they're not going to be using this sort of setup to fly crew, because obviously you have to have the crew enter more toward the nose cone of the ship for crewed variants, and if version 4 is going to be crewed at some point, which I presume it would have to be for Mars operations. Like you need a much taller tower to accommodate a crew access arm closer to the nose. So it's like that really but at the same time, that also opens up a conversation as to what operations are going to be like focused in like from Starbase Louisiana. Like is it going to be tankers? Is it going to be depots? Is it going to be Starlinks? Is it going to be like what's it going to be? So yeah, that's what. Just version 4 is weird, man. It looks very strange.
I think in terms of if you look at all the 3 major complexes that they have, we'll say the Cape, Louisiana, and Texas. As I was talking before, Texas is likely be Starlink and tankers, plus R&D flights when they want to go try something new. Louisiana is going to be your Polar Starlinks, your Star Mine Sats to SSO, And once they're really flying a lot, which by the time they build anything there, I'm just going to say spoiler alert, they're not launching by 2029. Spoiler alert, it ain't going to happen. They'll likely be able to fly over the southern tip of Louisiana, and they can probably do better inclinations off that. And I think the Cape is going to be the big DoD missions out of Slick 37 and the big high-profile like Moon and Mars missions out of 39A. Because why not use 39A for that?
Hey, Ryan, can I be that guy and say that one of the HLS renders that SpaceX has posted was of HLS at pad 37?
I mean, they could. That's what I want. I want it all out of 39A, but they could also do 37.
I don't disagree there, because like that would mean it's a lot closer to our cameras. We will probably have better access to it. But I don't know. This seems like that there would be a lot more freedom at pad 37 than compared to 39. I don't know.
But I think that either when it comes to crude and when it comes to HLS will likely always be Block 3 in height. What I think they'll do is they may run it with a Block 4 booster to get more performance and be able to put more on ship. So it'll be like a Block 3, but that they might put like an extended payload area on board. So add more rings under the nose cone, so they can put a bigger livable area and more cargo on board, along with 9 engines. But you're still running the tanks of a Block 3, but the booster's a Block 4, so you're getting more performance out of it. And as for crude ships as a whole, they might be shorter, more towards a Block 3, because really where Block 4 is going to come into help, especially with the extended ship, is going to be tankers and like Starlinks and Starmine sats. So when you're running that version of the ship, extended payload areas as well as more prop allows you to put more into low Earth orbit. So yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a mishmash, but the booster will always be a Block 4 booster. It's just what gets put on top is going to probably change a lot based off of what the mission requirement is.
It's basically a difference between a sombrero and a top hat sort of thing.
There you go.
Yeah. I was going to say, it makes me think that what if they already order a bunch of these towers already ahead of time, and that's why they don't change the height? Like, it feels to me that keeping the tower to the same height, to be fair, they don't need them to be taller. It's just a visual thing, because once you go above the quick disconnect arm and everything, like you don't really need them to be that much taller. For lifting, you can just basically lower down the lift points, and that's okay. But it makes me think that, having the opportunity to stretch the towers, they haven't. And so why is it? And in fact, the only time that they have actually, not only time, but like when they actually stretch a little bit of the tower, to be fair, the pad 2 tower is slightly taller than the pad 1 tower. The only reason and like the only place they were able to do that was on the base of the tower, which had changed designs. So I assume it was new hardware in that sense. Like, it feels to me there might be some kind of production thing there going on, you know what I mean, right? Like they probably ordered a bunch of this stuff a long time ago, and they were like, yeah, let's use this, so let's keep the tower the same height, more or less. And all of the additions that we've seen to these towers, like the primary structure, that the truss structure that you see there, it's pretty much the same almost, and it just got a lot of add-on stuff after the fact in order to improve the tower, rather than having to remake a lot of the columns and truss sections. I mean, even the connections for the trusses, basically they add on larger connections, right? Like what are they called, Ryan, when they increase that?
Which larger ones specifically?
The connections to the trusses, like when
the gusset.
That's the word. I always forget about these very technical terms. I'm not used to it. But yeah, like they make some of those tall, wider and bigger and things like that. But when this tower was put together, for example, it didn't have those. It was added after the fact. It's like they've been doing a lot of things still with the old design and then adding stuff on top. Like, for example, also the tower roof as well. That was another thing that was added on, the cladding, all of the other things that you can think of. Meanwhile, the baseline is just like, the very basic stuff is just the same as the original tower. Excuse me. So I don't know. It feels to me something like that at the very least. It gives off that kind of vibe.
I think that's a new world record for the longest answer ever.
It was not an answer. It
spoken
was
on
a
NSF.
It was a bit of a conversation between all
Bit of
three
a
of us. You
discussion.
didn't butt in, so I was like, okay, sure. You have any opinions, Ryan Caden?
No.
Okay.
Easiest hosting gig in the world. Let's see here. During that answer, we got many, many, many more questions, which is brilliant because it's like the longer the answer, the more questions get submitted during that answer. It's a ever-growing cycle.
If you want a quick sort of rapid-fire answer thing, we can do it. We've been here before.
No, you could take as long as you like. It's fine by me.
Famous last words, Ryan. Be careful.
Ship 29 and Booster 11 from the grave is asking when will Starship launch from Florida? Will it take a year or longer? Max Evans, when do you think we're going to see the first launch from 39A?
I'm going to channel my inner Ryan Weber here and say that I think the window for a 2026 launch year has unfortunately closed due to how, I don't want to say poorly because it didn't go poorly for Ship, but just with how Booster 20 did not do what SpaceX wanted it to do, and assuming it did, that would probably mean that they would aim for a booster catch on this flight, and this booster would probably go into circulation for reuse, maybe get shipped to Florida. I don't know, but I think that's going to be in probably around February now, if I had to guess. I do think that we'll see vehicles here by the end of the year, and we'll probably see a full stack in around November, December, maybe. Like I'm just completely spitballing here, but the trajectory for Florida Starship is going to be dictated by at least the next two flights of Starship from Starbase, because at this point we don't really have any idea like what numbered vehicles are going to be coming here. Are they going to be, are they going to have the first ever caught booster shipped to Florida for reuse? Or is that going to be, is that going to open up room for Booster 22 to come to Florida, or 23? We don't know. Like, this is all up in the air. It's all speculation. But because of that, and because of how much more version 3 has yet to prove for vehicle reuse, which is a very, very critical point for version 3 to become successful, I believe the window for a launch from Florida this year has unfortunately closed. I would love to be proven wrong. I would. I hope I am. But that's just kind of what my gut tells me based off of what we've seen on what we've seen over the past couple of months.
Huh.
What?
It's kind of odd. Crews went out to the pad and they opened both of the large vault doors on the service structure.
Oh.
That's interesting. Yeah, there are trucks right at the service structure and both vault doors are open. Huh.
Oh dear. Now the launch man is... Yeah.
Something's not... that very likely means something's not going right in that service structure, so... Lovely. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I don't know if that T0 I put out a little bit earlier is gonna happen. You can see right there, the doors are open. I think one's definitely open. I think the other one opened up. It was closed, but it opened. So they're doing something inside that server structure right there. Where there's all the hardware that it takes to basically run the launch mount is in there. So they're doing some kind of work or something. So we'll watch for those trucks to leave and the doors to close again. So that's kind of what we're watching for now.
Or maybe they just, need to get some gold reserves from the vault. Never mind.
I forgot the launch box back at the launch mount. Because it's the launch mount. Anyways.
Wow.
Ian Mealworm is asking, is the air separation unit operational yet? If not, how long do you think it will be until it is? Alex, it is very much still under construction. How long do you think it's going to be until they're separating air at the unit?
I'm going to say this, fully aware that I have no idea what its final status should look like. But yeah, it's still under construction. They're still putting things together. I'm guessing once we start seeing any kind of venting, we'll know that it's starting to run, or at least getting some early testing. Maybe at the end of this year, maybe early next year. It's still not gonna be like right away, boom, you've got thousands and thousands of tons of liquid oxygen being produced every week or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's also tiny, as Ryan was saying. That produces enough liquid oxygen for like maybe a flight or two a week or something like that, right? You say?
It's about 900 metric tons of LOX a day. And for
Yeah.
reference, a Block 3 stack is like, it's a decent amount more than that. It's 4,300 metric tons of
So
liquid
about
oxygen.
5 to 6 days then, in terms
Yeah.
of how many days they need to run this. So I will guess if they want to, I mean, right now they can't, regulatory side of things, they cannot launch more often than once every 2 weeks, basically right now. But if they ever wanted to go faster, they can always just keep trucking in liquid oxygen. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe next year, maybe late this year. We'll see. I have no idea. Like I just said, I'm completely aware that I have no idea how this looks like once complete. So I'm just sort of making this up based on how long it's taken already. I would expect maybe in the next, 5-6 months, maybe completed. We'll see.
We've gotten some support as well, so I should probably read some of that out. Jonathan Ensign, thank you very much for your support. I heard someone challenge that chemical rocketry won't get us to Mars, saying propellant-based ships can't be interplanetary. Agree or disagree? Does anyone agree or disagree? Because I think chemical rocketry has
Disagree.
got us there before.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. They can. Are they the most efficient? No. But can they? Yeah.
Can you run a
also not-
truck across the entirety of the United States? Yes, you have to refuel a lot, but you can. And that's
Yeah,
what
and it's-
happens pretty much every single day.
Yeah, I think like the technology just isn't quite there yet for anything that's not for chemical rockets or chemical propulsion. Maybe in like 20, 30, 40 years that'll be different, but this is what we have now.
Yeah.
Telstar86, thank you for your support. Would cameras have to deal with other wildlife like gators in Louisiana? Not being from the US, my knowledge of local fauna isn't the best. I do know that part of the world is a little bit more marshy than Starbase, so
yeah,
you can't exactly drive up and down the beach on Pecan Island like you can at Brownsville.
I think this is correct, but I think Louisiana actually has a larger gator population than Florida, if not the same. So there is a ton of gators down there. There is a ton of wildlife. It is a very soft marshland over there in the bayou, but it's like a mix of what the land in Starbase and here in Florida are. It's like it's a combination.
More swamp.
Yeah, yeah, wildlife is certainly going to be I don't know if concern is the right word, because obviously you should always look out for gators, whether it's here or Starbase or in Louisiana. But yes, those are still present in the bayou.
The best correlation for what SpaceX is going to try to do in Louisiana is what NASA did in the 1960s with KSE. So SpaceX is starting from scratch. They've got a canal they can use to build basically a small port facility to barge in a bunch of stuff, because using the highways nearby to bring stuff in, they're not built for that even. They're built for that even less than Highway 4 is. We'll just put it that way. It's a state highway that runs there. I doubt it's even less built than Highway 4 originally was. I think there's a lot of people here who know how bad that got before they ended up redoing it here. So they'll be able to barge a lot of stuff in, but basically they're going to have to start from scratch like NASA started from scratch on Merritt Island. They'll have to go in, dredge a bunch of silt, bring in a bunch of dirt, sand. They'll have to make flat, usable areas for housing, temporary housing for contractors. Then they're going to have to build their own roads and access roads to where they want to build the pads. Then they have to do all the groundwork for the pads, the tank farms, everything else. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of engineering. There's a lot of moving of material and earth that is going to be required. A lot of setting of material as well. I think the first flight out of Louisiana is probably going to be in the early 2030s. It'd be my guess. It's going to take a significant amount of time to build that area up. And especially until all of it's done, all those pads done, I don't know how long it'll take him to build them all, but I would not be shocked if all 10 pads aren't built until like the 2040s. That's a lot to build. That's a lot of infrastructure.
And Jimball 5306, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Let's look through here for some more questions. Oh, literally just as I say this, Bideford is back in chat with more support. Thank you, Bideford. Based on my research of Vermilion Parish and Pecan Island, SpaceX has their work cut out to prepare that soil and water remediation. Yeah, it's certainly going to be one heck of an engineering challenge just to make the ground strong enough to not build a pad on, not drive over, but walk over. Because right now you cannot walk over that. So that is going to be a lot of work to beef it up, to make it capable of supporting the sheer weight of however many launch pads they eventually end up building, because the renders have 10, Elon said over 12. Who knows what the actual site is going to end up looking like, because of course we only have that very provisional render right now, so we'll just have to wait and see what if we get any environmental diagrams, etc., etc. I'm sure there'll be lots of discussion about the environmental impacts of building such a site in that part of the world. ANAP 400 is asking, based on Flight 13's rollout and static fire timing, they are on pace to attempt to launch in about 5 to 6 days. Why are they going to take 3 weeks this time? Alex.
Well, there's a few things to mention here. Yesterday, for example, in the rollout stream, I said that it's still like close to flight ready, but then I looked closer and there's a few things still missing on this booster, namely, for example, some of the Starlink antennas, they're not installed yet, which is odd. But yeah, there's still some things missing out of booster 21. It really went out just for static fire. I mean, even SpaceX tweeted that on X, where it was like, yeah, we're rolling this out for static fire for flight 14, but they didn't really say, this is all ready to go or anything like that. Last time around, it was more like pre-launch testing or something like that they said, but didn't commit to saying that it was even like a static fire or something. But yeah, my point being here that they still seem to be needing a few more days on this than, say, for example, the last booster when they went out for static fire. So yeah, that's basically why. They need more time.
Andrew M37, could a super heavy booster launching from Louisiana be caught in Florida or Texas? It's the Starbase Texas question, but for Starbase Louisiana.
Yeah, classic.
I don't actually know. I'm going to go on Google Maps right now and see the distance between Starbase and Starbase. This is going to be so brilliant having to specify which Starbase we're talking about. Why can't they just give it a Space Base or Moon Base? Or
what's kind of neat?
610 kilometers, give or take.
So it's actually almost like exactly halfway between the Cape and Starbase, at least in terms of driving. Maybe it's a bit more close to Starbase than it is in Florida, but It's like right in between the two. But I think bringing a booster back to Texas from Louisiana, that'd be something. But I still don't think that's possible.
It's
Yeah,
still
I mean,
not
about halfway. Max.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more like a third of the way.
610 kilometers from Starbase
Okay.
Louisiana to Starbase Texas, and about 1,200.
To put it in miles for Americans in chat, basically between Starbase and Florida, it's 1,000 miles. Louisiana gets you only 300 miles of those 1,000 miles, so it's about a third of the way.
Yeah,
not half. You still need the
like
other two-thirds.
As the crow flies, or as the roads.
Yeah, just directly. No roads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would you need a road for flying?
Well, that's what I said. Like
line.
it's yeah. It's like driving wise, that's a little over halfway, and I've driven there and back 6 times. But yeah, as the crow flies, I get your point.
Yeah. Can you imagine flying over the highway or something? Anyway.
I mean, Falcon 9 consistently does downrange recoveries, 500, 600 kilometers downrange. So I'm going to say if Starbase and Starbase are 600 kilometers apart, then theoretically, a downrange recovery, they just wouldn't do a boost back burn. Maybe. But then you have the upper stage flying over Lafayette, Baton Rouge, other population centers. Might not be the best idea. No one disagrees with me. I must be absolutely correct.
You mean the second stage would be flying over Mexico?
Hey guys.
Well, if they're launching from Starbase Texas to Starbase Louisiana, they'll be flying northeast.
Oh,
hey guys, the roadblock is I think opening on Highway 4.
Well, is it?
I think
I
so.
still see a truck there.
There were 2, one just drove away, and they're shifting. So I don't know if that means they're about to open it, or if they're just adjusting some things. Yeah.
We'll wait and see here.
Yeah, there were a few trucks. Maybe they just changed out. There was even a Cybertruck just a few minutes ago. And by few, I mean like 3 minutes ago.
Well, wait to get that view for you of the roadblock on Highway 4, but from my multi-view here, is very much still a car in the middle of the road, so there you go.
That's a view.
That looks close to me.
Still closed.
Yeah. I think they just changed the cars.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Or maybe this is coping, but let's see.
I don't think, unless something was utterly broken inside there, I don't think they would nix it now. I think they're going to try to fix it, and then they'll keep pushing ahead, because they're still in chill down. They are still constantly chilling down the LOX subcoolers as well as the methane subcoolers. They are still keeping that chilled down, which is a big one, because basically they're keeping that side of the tank farm chilled down, so when they're ready, they can finish the chill down of the rest of it, and then try to punch into prop load once everything else is ready to go. So they are still keeping things in chill down. So we are just waiting for them to finish up whatever they need to do inside the server structure, close the doors, and get the booster transport stand out of there.
I mean, they have until 9 p.m., right? So they still have 12 hours and a little bit of a change. So plenty of time to get this done today.
But hopefully they don't need that.
You never know. Maybe we stick around here for the entire of the 12 hours.
Let's not talk it up. Clevy29 is asking, why don't they do back-to-back static fires to simulate Raptor 3 relights? That's an interesting question, especially considering that I'm not sure whether it would be the specifically the shutdown or the relight shutdown of the boost pack burn, or relight for the landing burn has been a point of failure on the previous flight, Ryan. But is there any value in doing such a test on the ground?
I mean, you could test that on the ground, but you're not flying through the air, having just flown, uh, and you'd have to try to simulate your pressures correctly, whether it's through the landing tank or the main tanks. Because I mean, remember, like if they're trying to simulate the boost back burn, that's kind of hard to do because your tanks are partially empty. You're flipping around. You're trying to reignite the landing burn. I mean, you could just light off the landing tanks. There really isn't any way for them to truly test that other than flying it. So that's why they don't really do anything on the ground in that case.
I think there's a bit of a, how to say this? There's a bit of a sign, perhaps, if you read too much into this. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, I guess. The fact that they have never done this since basically 2021, so for like 5 years, and every single vehicle that has flown on a full stack mission has never done this kind of relight test that is always being asked about. I think it's a sign to me that they don't want to try. They don't want to touch that even with a stick, right? Like they want to keep away from any kind of relight test on the ground. They want to do that in flight. There might be reasons, technical reasons, as you mentioned, because it's a different environment that they cannot really simulate at all on the ground because the booster is flipping back and all that stuff. Like you have a lot of dynamics going on in space that you cannot really test at all when you are here on the ground, right? And might be the reason why some of these relights don't work on these flights, and therefore you need to go fly. That's perhaps one of the reasons. But also, we know how Raptors behave when they relight and they're not happy, right? What if they were to do something like that on the pad, and they do something like Booster 9 did on its boost back burn, which basically blew up? Who knows? So I totally get it. Like the fact that they have not tried something like that since 2021 seems to me that they probably just don't want to get anywhere close to any of that. But hey, who knows? Maybe they'll try it again at some point. I'm open to that.
Bit more support that's come through. Michael Mize, 1432. Thank you for your support. Do you think they could be working on the, I'm going to assume you mean HLS crew compartment, at a NASA site out of public view, such as Houston or KSE? I think the most likely scenario is that they are working on something out of view, but it's probably squirreled away in the back of Star Factory somewhere, or maybe even at Hawthorne, who knows? But there you go, zoomed in on those vehicles at the pad with those massive... Would it be fair to call them blast-proof doors? I don't know.
Yeah, those are basically like bank vault doors. They fabricated them on site. I forget how thick the steel is. I think they're like inch plus thick steel. Placed they welded together or something along those lines and made into a door. And then they're basically blast doors. So when those are going, it would take a significant explosion in order to damage those things. And that's the whole point, is to that they stay closed and protect all the stuff inside there. Because if they damage some of the other steel and things like that, that can be replaced. But a lot of the hardware that's inside that server structure is much harder to replace. And they would very much like to protect that as much as they can. So one of the reasons for those doors.
Sorry for barging in here for a second. Can I clarify one thing that I mentioned before in my previous answer?
Sure.
Yeah, because I mentioned the whole relight thing. It is true that they have done relight tests at McGregor, but there's a whole vast ocean of, of land, if you want to call it like that, between what they do at McGregor and what they do with a booster or a ship. In terms of, McGregor is a controlled environment in that sense, whereas when you have a booster or a ship, you basically don't have that kind of control over the kind of propellant temperatures and propellant flow rates and all the various things. Basically, it's a living thing. You can treat it like that, basically, which is why they do these static fire tests, by the way. Every single Raptor engine gets tested individually, but it's when it's actually attached to a vehicle that you get a lot of the really interesting stuff happening that you really need to take care of. And so that is why I was mentioning they have not touched that here at Starbase for 5 years. They've done multiple relight tests at McGregor on individual engines. Should clarify that. There we go.
Baz Doctor, thank you for your support. What do you put the chances of catching the ship first time versus the booster? Would the damage or impact be greater if it fails? I mean, this is certainly not any kind of scientific metric, but when the ship, not Starship 40, of course, because it survived, but all of the ships before that have blown up on impact with the ocean, right, after they've tipped over, those explosions don't look huge, right? So, I mean, theoretically, if the ship fails, I don't think it would be that big of a... Of course, it would still be an overpressure, but it's not... I'd have to imagine it's not going to be a giant world-ending explosion.
It would be less than the hops, even. Because during the hops, they still had residuals in the mains. They completely dump and safe the main tanks before they re-enter the ship. All that's left is what's in the headers. And for the header tanks on Starship, you're talking, the LOX header holds 24 metric tons of liquid oxygen. The methane header holds like 9. And then the deorbit burn uses some up. And then the landing burn will use up most of the rest of it. So, like, if they fire in the landing burn and say something, fails and they crash and burn, a lot of it's just going to be the steel just breaking her up. And everything, you'll get an explosion probably when you snap the header tank transfer tube lines and you mix that prop, but otherwise you're not really going to get much. It depends on where ship falls. If it were to fall on the deluge tanks, it's not great. If it falls on the pumps, that's not great either. But a lot of times they safe the tank farm as well after the fact too. They try to drain as much as the lines, and by the time the ship comes back in, there shouldn't be any prop in any of those lines unless it were to hit the main propellant storage tanks. Like, I don't really see it being able to do anything. I don't even know if it would puncture those tanks unless it hit it like direct on. Booster is a little bit more different because it's still got residuals in the main. So a booster hitting and exploding would definitely make a much bigger explosion than a ship. And of course, how much damage either does depends on where they would hit. So.
I know
Patrick,
you didn't direct me with this question, but I will say the same thing that I said for Booster 12. If they go for the catch, it'll be caught on the first try. There. I said it.
We'll just have to wait and see. And Patrick, Bob, thank you, as always, for gifting 50 Red Team memberships. That's 50 more people who will get access to the membership area where you get all the behind-the-scenes pictures, etc. And fingers crossed, within the next 30 days or so, we will indeed get a Starship launch. So fingers crossed, those memberships prove useful in seeing some of the pictures which our team will be getting in the field. Fingers crossed, Max.
Indeed.
UFO 000. Do you think Ship 41 may be splashed down in the Gulf, but following an orbital return towards Starbase, Texas? Alex, this has been something of discussion, which we've been talking about a little bit. What do you think is the possibility of this happening? Because it really does seem like SpaceX doesn't want to do a ship catch because they don't want to re-enter overpopulated areas, and splashing down in the Gulf would require them to re-enter overpopulated areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that seems tempting. I'm not in favor of this theory, by the way. They could, from a regulatory side of things, of course, they would need to ask for it, but all of the other paperwork, such as environmental assessments and all that stuff, has already been done. So from that side of things, it could be done. They also have basically the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Hawaii or California, and then you've also have like another area off the coast of Chile and Peru, and then you've got also the Indian Ocean, just like they've been doing so far. It all comes down to what lines up with the orbit. Now, for an orbit like the one that they've used since Flight 12, basically Flight 12 and 13, where they go southeast and fly in between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, it will probably take a whole day or like at least 18 hours for them to come back anywhere close to the Gulf in terms of the lining up the orbit with the orientation that they are approved to use and everything. So it will take a while for something like that. And I can only not only I can think of the fact of having to re-enter overpopulated areas, but also the fact that then they need to demonstrate that the ship can stay up there for that long. Even though the baseline version 3 is supposed to stay up for 48 hours, they've never really have a ship up there for that long. I guess the only other ship that's survived for that long has been Ship 40. It's been in the ocean, so not really a really good test of that. I don't think it is any sort of good test of endurance. My total guess, because I actually have thought about this since our last flame trench, because before this I was like, maybe they're waiting on another flight to actually do the catch because of the catch portion. But then there's also the fact that the ship also needs to prove that it can stay the whole 18 to 24 hours time in space. You could do something in the middle of that and say, we'll stay for 6 to 8 hours or something like that. Like maybe 4 or 5 orbits, basically. That could be doable if you go into orbit, but you don't care about returning it back to Starbase, either for a splashdown in Gulf or for a catch at the launch tower, and therefore you dump it maybe in the Pacific Ocean or the Indian Ocean, whatever it lines up with the orbit. So I think that maybe that could be Flight 14, what we were going to see in this upcoming flight. That's my theory. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, as I always do, but who knows?
Who knows indeed. Segan, 1982. Would they have enough time to remove the booster from the pad before the ship returns for a double catch? Max, yes, is going to be the answer, isn't it? It's they've removed boosters, within hours on the previous generation.
Yeah, they certainly have, and version 3 has been designed from the get-go to be removed as soon as possible. So I think what might happen is they'll send ship on roughly a 24-hour flight plan. So assuming they are successful in the booster catch, that would give them anywhere from maybe 3 to 6 hours, or they should have the booster safed, detanked, back on the mount, or actually not even back on the mount, but like having it on the transport stand to leave the launch site in anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, depending on how smooth that operation is. And of course, after that, you have up to 18 hours at that point for ship to remain in its coast phase, talking down to the ground, and then waiting for the orbits to reline up and then perform its deorbit burn, and then try to come home. So they would have to do that. Like they would have to give the booster plenty of time to clear the pad and make sure the tower is A-OK, both from the sticks and I guess from a structural point of view for the rest of the tower, because it hasn't caught a booster or ship yet. So I think that's fair to say that is going to be needed for a ship catch in the first place, let alone a double catch of both booster and ship.
And we did just see another Cybertruck heading to the pad in the wrong direction down Highway 4. We want to see him go away from the pad, but there you go. Clearly troubleshooting something or taking a look at something, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be there. That's my very insightful analysis on that one. And there it is, turning into the launch site.
No, they didn't turn into the launch site. They went past.
Not turning into the launch site.
I think it went past towards the beach, maybe.
I mean, they're just walking around. What are they doing?
That's the move team. They are waiting for everyone else to get clear so that they can move the transport stand onto Highway 4. And my guess is they're going to move another SPNT along with everything else as well, which looks like it's got a Versabar or something load spreader on it. I don't know. We'll see here. Maybe they're about to move the transport stand. I don't know.
Well, that big truck is moving. And the Cybertruck is moving. And another Cybertruck is moving.
See if the stand moves.
Doors on the pad still open, according to producer Jake Egan. So Still, there you go. You can see the big doors there, kind of underneath the nostrils of the surface structure.
Yep, booster transport stand is moving.
Excuse you.
Sorry.
Gross.
It is difficult to see because of the heat haze, but the transport stand is definitely moving.
I hate when that happens right in the middle of your talking. You can't mute quick enough. Like,
yep, all been there.
Just
even Jack, I remember.
On more than one occasion.
Yeah, more. Well, I mean, I would say this. The fact that they're prepping to move the booster stand onto Highway 4 is a good sign. If they didn't think that they would have a chance at going today, they wouldn't move that. So my guess is they were told to move it and get it out of the way because they might be getting close to finishing work up. So let's cross our fingers here and hope that's the case. And we'll wait to see if they close the doors up sooner or later here and maybe clear out. Because it shouldn't be too long after they close out to get into prop load because they've kept everything chilled down. They may just need to re-chill some of the stuff in the server structure, and that's about it, though. So there's the booster stand on Highway 4.
Good progress. And while we await this booster transport stand to make its way partially down Highway 4, Converted Hydrogen, thank you very much for the $100 dues, Australian dollars, super chat. Very much appreciated. All of the support. Especially big support like that, because that's huge. So thank you so much. Born too soon. Will there be a full payload of approximately 60 Starlinks on Starship Flight 14? Ryan, I would assume probably at least 20 because that's what we saw last time. Do you think they'll go for the full batch?
I don't think they're going to go for the full batch. I think 20 is a safe bet. I wouldn't be surprised if they kick it up to 30 though. Maybe put a little bit more payload on board. But granted, it is the first time they are going to orbit, so maybe they stick with a known quantity and they only do 20. Maybe Flight 15 they do like maybe 40. They double it if they think they have the performance to do that. But basically, yeah, we'll see how many they do. I don't know when first full 60. Heck, the first full 60 might be the first flight out of 39A. That might be the first full 60 of V3s. But we'll wait and see. I'm curious to see when they'll start launching that full batch.
Booster transport stand continuing to make its way onto Highway 4. Looks like it's on the road now. And fingers crossed they continue rolling and don't stop like those trucks have. Harry Roby is asking, as Flight 14 is likely going orbital, how different is the re-entry speed for orbital re-entry compared to suborbital re-entry, and what could this mean for the thermal protection system? Alex, the suborbital trajectory they've been flying so far it's not like a Blue Origin suborbital trajectory or a Virgin Galactic suborbital trajectory. It's a long suborbital trajectory. It's a very, very long distance, basically 2/3 of the way around the world. So the velocities they hit, obviously it's slower than, or I say obviously, but I would assume it's slower than orbital velocity because it's a suborbital trajectory, but it's got to be similar, right?
Well, I will say, if you want to return back to Earth, you don't stay orbital. So you have to be suborbital by definition. I feel like this is a very common misconception, and I always try to debate it like this, where it's like, if you want to come back from orbit, you need to be suborbital. Like that's the whole, like the name suborbital implies that you're no longer orbital, or at least never achieved orbit, basically. So the suborbital trajectory that Starship has been achieving so far is basically the same kind of suborbital trajectory that you will need in order to come back from orbit. It's as if the ship has already done its deorbit burn and now it's coming back down. It's basically like that. I would say it's even a little bit steeper if it doesn't do, for example, the relight test and things like that. It will have been a much more gentler re-entry if they had kept the Hawaii re-entry. Remember, Flight 1 and 2 were supposed to re-enter over the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii, and then they changed that for Flight 3 and onwards. So if they were to do that, it would actually have been an easier re-entry, because a much steeper re-entry is harder on the ship in terms of, how fast you go into thicker parts of the atmosphere, and you have to pull out of that more quickly, I guess. But yeah. SPMT sounds coming up.
Yep, we can hear those self-propelled modular transporters whirring away as the booster transport stand makes its way away from Pad 2 down Highway 4. Booster 21 in the background. Wonderful SPMT eclipse there. And here's the other one. I don't know why they just don't sit on the SPMT as they drive it down the road. I mean, surely that's cleared health and safety.
They sometimes it is kind of odd when they don't have a load on it. Sometimes they'll just have a seat that's off to the side of the power pack that they can sit on. They've done it many times. I don't know. Maybe it's a choice. Maybe they want to get the workout in. I don't know. It's a solid workout. Just walk your SPMT out.
3 SPMTs headed back down Highway 4. Of course, Ryan, we're not expecting these to go all the way back. They'll park them just a little ways down the road, right?
The boost both should be parked partway down Highway 4. I don't know if the one with the load spreader will go all the way back. I don't know if they still need that load spreader for anything. Trying to think if they do. I don't think they do. But that may go all the way back to Sanchez. Just kind of go around onto the dirt and go past the booster transport stand. But we'll see. Maybe they need it back for something at the launch site.
Who knows? Now you can see Giga Bay making an appearance in the background. Gonna have Texas Giga Bay, Florida Giga Bay, Louisiana Terra Bay, or whatever they end up calling that 3 transfer aisle behemoth in the render. Peta Bay, maybe? Oh no, they'll save Peta Bay for later.
I mean, the Terra Bay that they might build, which looks like it has 3 transfer aisles. If you want to take the renders with any kind of veracity at all, that bay that they showed in those renders is huge. Like, it's not as tall as the vehicle assembly building, but like in terms of width and everything else, I think it beats it. If you were to like do the pixel math and whatnot, but I don't know if they would build something like that. I think they kind of need something like that. They need like multiple vehicle assembly building sized buildings with the amount they want to launch for refurbishment and other things. But
could they do that at Starbase with how limited space they have? Because I imagine in order to make something like that, they will have to remove the 2 megabays remove the parking garage building and like take up the entirety of the ring yard area basically, and even probably a little bit of like up to Remedios Avenue.
They could flop it into Sanchez. Right now, Sanchez, a good chunk of Sanchez is there is a bunch of there's a area for the cladding for Gigabay, as well as a ton of different spots for the stand construction for Gigabay, stand construction for Star Factory, as well as all the stuff that they're building Pad 1, because the Pad 1's mount, it's the flame deflector, all the parts for the SQD, a lot of that stuff is still there. If once that's all done and gone, they could plop a gigantic terabay there. They could probably put another gigabay in. They could fit another gigabay inside Sanchez, 100%. Will they? I don't know. They are building a huge warehouse off one of their Highway 4 lots, which I am crossing my fingers that the inventory tent they have in Sanchez is going to go away, and that's going to be the new shipping and receiving building and inventory building. But we'll see what happens.
Markinus Markison, thank you for your support. €20 support. They are using one engine for deorbit. If they want to go to the moon, is it then this one used to push the fuel to the pumps into the main tank and ignite all 6? Ryan.
For doing that, my guess is they would burn all 6. They would run off the mains and burn all 6 for a quick burn. Or you just run the RVACs too. If you have your trajectory set and you don't need to gimbal, you could just run the RVACs. And try to get as an efficient of a burn as you can possibly get. And by the way, it looks like one of the doors closed.
Yeah, the other's still open.
But one is closed.
Clearly, the birds very distracting there.
Or did they both close?
I think the other one is now being closed.
It's hard to tell from this angle.
Yeah.
To my untrained eye, the door on the right definitely seems more shaded than the door on the left. So,
yeah, the door on the right. I would argue they both look closed by now. Or one being in
one's still open. That left one's still open. What did I say? What did I say? I got you.
Hey, but at least one's closed. That's progress. Progress.
Dale Hean, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. With the current fueling cadence, how does the logistics work for 30 launches a day? The maths doesn't math. Well, Alex, I think to do 30 launches a day, they're not going to be doing the current fueling cadence. They're not going to be trucking in all of their propellant. They're going to be generating it on site.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that. I mean, Ryan touched on this earlier, but you can sort of see it in the render, where close by you see the tank farms, basically, right? For deluge and propellant. But then further out in the distance in the renders, you can see the chains of different air separation units and probably like natural gas purification plants and all that kind of stuff. They're going to need dozens of duplicates, like the air separation unit that they have already here at Starbase. If that one makes 900 tons of liquid oxygen a day, just imagine, because it takes 5 days for one of those to make enough oxygen for a full version 3 stack. Version 4 will probably add another day, probably, if I were to guess. So 6 days for one full stack, and now you're talking about 30 stacks in a single day. So what? You have to basically do 180 of these air separation units, right? That's a lot.
Unless you get the bigger versions, there are much bigger ASUs, like ones that can do 5,000 metric tons in a day. but those are gigantic, and
You still need 30 of
incredibly power
those.
sensitive. Yeah, right.
So at the end of the day, I mean, you make an air separation unit that it's 6 times as big, but still you need 30 of those. So it's about the same at the end of the day, right? But yeah, it's gonna need a lot of those, and of course, it's gonna need also a way to power them because they're power hungry. I mean, 900 tons of liquid oxygen per day. That's all they could basically do here out at Starbase. I don't know either in terms of like liquid nitrogen, which is the other commodity that they use at the tank farm,
It's about
and that
the
is
same, I
also
think.
extracted from the air separation. Yeah, but my point is, how much do they need? Do they really need 900
Right.
per day? Right? Like, is it closer to maybe instead of 5 or 6 days, maybe it's a week and a half of running the air separation unit in terms of how much nitrogen they need, right? Like, those are all their considerations as well. Then you have the methane purification, not the methane, no, the natural gas purification. You need to purify it, then liquefy it into liquid methane, basically, and then do all the subcooling in the tank farm. You've got a lot of things going on there, man, and so it's gonna take a while. It's no secret that this is gonna be expensive because SpaceX already put a price tag on that of $100 billion. So it's not gonna be any. And I will say probably $100 billion is not even scratching the surface if they really want the 30 launches a day. But we'll see. I think it might be a little more expensive than that. Perhaps even like twice that price tag.
Are they actually parking the transport stand right in
Yeah.
front of our camera?
Yep.
The launch mount?
Classic.
100%.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Well, it's a good thing that thanks to your guys' support, we have more than one camera site at Starbase. We have multiple from all of the different angles, apart from over the Gulf, because there's the Gulf there. So do not fear. We will have good angles whether they decide to park the transport stand right there. Or
They
not.
did this for Booster 19, right?
Yeah, 20 they didn't. Well, for 19 they did it like for one of the static fires, and the other one they moved it around. I know one of them it was parked right in front of I think Lab's camera, and then they parked it in front of ours. So I think they're just kind of messing with both of us. I think they're messing with us. Yeah. Yep. 100%. There's no parking in the red zone.
Telstar86 is asking, if they were to use a mix of version 3 and version 4 ships with the version 4 boosters, I assume the ship quick disconnects on both ships would be in the same place, or the arm wouldn't line up for fueling. I don't know, but also I don't know if they're going to mix and match between V3 and V4 like they did between V1 and V2.
Yeah, the biggest thing that changes with that is the height of the booster changes the height of the SQD. If the ship quick connect plate just stays on the ship in the same spot, doesn't matter if you're using a block 3 or block 4, it'll work just fine.
And speaking of those renders and Starbase Louisiana, Echo Monday 4395, what orbits can Starship easily get to from Louisiana? That's a good question, because I think it kind of also matters what they are allowed to fly over and what they're not allowed to fly over, because Alex, of course, we have that documentation indicating a corridor from Starbase Texas that kind of flies over the north of Florida. So would they be allowed to fly over the Yucatan Peninsula or Cuba or bits of Florida from Louisiana or even bits of Louisiana from Louisiana? What do you think?
Yeah, straight south over the Yucatan, or not the Yucatan, but like a little bit west of the Yucatan. There are not. I was actually discussing this from someone from Mexico that is also following Starship, and they were bringing up like population density maps and everything of Mexico, and I was saying like, yes, there's Mexico City if you go to west, right? But right in between the Yucatan Peninsula and where Mexico City is, you've got a stretch of land where the population density is like Wyoming-like. If you've been anywhere there, it's like very sparse population, right? There's still people, but a lot of these things in terms of regulations go always about probabilities, right? So the fewer people that you've got there, the lower the probabilities, and therefore you're going to be allowed to do that sort of thing. Of course, I will imagine all of this will also be coordinated with Mexico and all that stuff. There's also another benefit in terms of how far downrange this will be. Like the booster will never get anywhere close, for example, which is nice because the booster is the bigger part of the whole stack. And the ship, by the time it achieves enough velocity to get anywhere close to Mexico, it will probably be already going too fast, right? So if it does fail or something like that, then you've got smaller bits at the very least, which sort of balances things out in the whole equation, if you want to call it like that, in terms of getting to the probabilities. So in terms of what orbits can easily be flown from Louisiana, those are probably the easiest in terms of regulatory and all the probabilities and everything. Once Starship gets a little bit more reliable over time, then you can think about maybe overflying a bit more populated areas, or at least trying to dodge certain populated areas if you've got spare performance, like for example with version 4. Version 4 is supposed to be 200 tons to low Earth orbit. Perhaps, maybe, we'll see. But if it does do that, then it might have enough spare performance, especially with Starmine or Starlink satellites, to do a bit of a dogleg between Cuba and Florida. So you basically have like a southeast launch sort of thing, and then you tweak your orbit in order to be able to go in between Cuba and Florida. That will be another way, perhaps, for them to do that. The most important thing is if you want to do Moon or Mars missions out of that, you probably are going to be inclined to, no pun intended, to launch more eastwardly from there to achieve a lower inclination for your orbit. And then you've got things like New Orleans right next to the east of the launch site. You've got, if you fly a little bit perhaps more north, then you start getting things like Alabama and Florida and all of these other places. You're getting very close to very populated areas, like really hugely densely populated areas. Nowhere near close the places that I was talking about in Mexico. So yeah, it starts becoming a little bit of a problem. And hey, if you are allowed at the very least, like maybe a handful of those every month or something like that, because of the probabilities that I was talking about and all that, it could still be useful, because, I don't know, maybe a few flights out of there, and then you do the bulk of the lower inclination orbits from Florida and Starbase, basically. But yeah.
And of course, when vehicles reach really good reliability, maybe even they'll fly people over populated or not really populated areas. I'm talking about Farm 2. Farm 2 launched over Cuba and Panama and even had abort zones in that kind of direction. So time will tell. Shazbert Toddbot, thank you for your support. Not nice, SpaceX, not nice. Don't worry, like I said, you can see 2 of the cameras here. We've got tens of other cameras as well. We're looking here right now. We're staying on these views because, of course, we are monitoring that work in the doorway of the launch mount. Zoomed in on the left side, different view on the right side. We can see there's somebody standing by the door, so I'm not sure what they are doing exactly, but fingers crossed they wrap it up quickly and get out of there so we can get a static fire off Booster 21, because that is what we are expecting today. Ryan Webber, if you just want to give us a sit rep, an update on what we're doing today and what we're expecting from Super Heavy Booster 21.
So about a little over 2 hours ago, the methane reclaim vent started. They had been running the lock side of the tank arm for a while after that. Before that, they went into chill down for a little while, and then it looks like they might have run into an issue with the inside the service structure. This was before the booster standard rolled onto Highway 4, as you can see where it is right there. And you have crews working inside the service structure right there. They're working inside there. And then he works there. But they're working inside the service structure. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's cryo valves, pneumatic valves, electrical, hydraulics, you name it. Anything that it takes to run that launch pad is in there. So they were running into issues. Looks like a lot of them are leaving now. And closing the door. Wow, that timing. There you go. So it looks like they might have run into an issue. Looks like they are now closing that door, or at least getting ready to close it here. And with that, they will continue into chill down. They'll probably need to chill down the stuff that's in that server structure again once everyone's clear. And then we will wait for the methane reclaim vent to turn off, both of the subcooler vents to really kick into gear, and then it's time to do frost watching to see frost come up on the booster. I don't know when that's going to be right now. Timelines kind of get thrown off when they run into this kind of stuff. It's hard to know where they pick up off of. So the T0 is up in the air right now. We'll have a better T0 once they actually start with prop load. But right now it looks like they are closing things up. So we should start seeing those trucks leave. Once those leave, that should be pad clear. And then we will watch for prop load to start. Hopefully static fire.
Fingers crossed. Astro Joquin, thank you for your support. With Starlink flights being done in Florida, what are they going to do with all the boosters? Alex, that's a great question. What are they going to do with all the boosters if their number one customer has suddenly decided, we'll wait till Starship's online?
Yeah, I think Jay Keegan, our producer, also asked something along those lines, at least with booster B1067, right? Which was the one that launched that last Cape Starlink on Falcon 9. But yeah, I mean, maybe they can move them to Vandenberg. They have a lot of these boosters. I actually, because I know people always ask me this question of like, how many boosters do they have? And I actually wrote them down, and they have 9 at Vandenberg and 15 at the Cape. So it will probably be interesting if they could move some of those older boosters from the Cape all the way to Vandenberg. They have a few old boosters at the Cape, like B1067, but also B1077, B1078, for example, also have 30 launches under their belts. So, you don't see a lot of these customer missions, essentially non-Starlink missions, on the older boosters. So it's going to be odd, not seeing the Starlinks, but
they better not.
It might. It might. Max, just saying, because they're still continuing Starlinks from Vandenberg, and somebody actually made a good point that perhaps until Louisiana is not active, they will not be able to launch any Starlink V3s to polar orbits. Because you could think, well, maybe they can use the polar southern corridor out of the Cape with Starship, right? But they don't have that yet, so it might still get a little bit more time until they're able to use that. So we'll see.
And Sensible Center spelled the correct way. Thank you very much for your support. Starship launch pads, more than a dozen in Louisiana, 3 in Florida, 2 in Texas, any at Vandenberg. What do you think, Max? Because, of course, SpaceX has Space Launch Complex 6, former shuttle pad, former Delta pad, and they are currently converting it, we believe, for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. But, I mean, if they're already winding down Falcon on the East Coast in favor of Starship, what's the point of building a brand new Falcon pad on the West Coast?
Well, I mean, Falcon Heavy still has some life left in it, and depending on what is left on contract or what might come up on contract for Falcon Heavy, whether it be for NASA, for the Space Force, DoD, whoever it might be in the government, they're probably going to find some use for it. I mean, Falcon Heavy has only flown 12 times at this point, so basically it's flown less than Starship Super Heavy, which is kind of weird to say actually out loud. But if they'll have the ability to launch polar from Louisiana, they don't really need Vandenberg for that purpose, do they? I mean, unless they want to launch retrograde against Earth's orbit for whatever reason, that would only be able to be achieved from Vandenberg. So I'm even struggling to find a use for Starship from Vandy, given how complex that launch site is, and the hills and everything else. That might make it tricky to move Starship vehicles around in. I don't know. I mean, there's still life for Falcon Heavy. That won't be scrubbed. That won't be like retiring probably for at least 5 years or so, maybe longer. But again, we don't have an exact timeline on when on when that is going to wrap up. We have also still seen the Falcon Heavy extended payload fairings that were under testing at Pad 40 about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now. But we still have we have yet to see those put into actual practical use. We presume those are going to be for DoD or any government flights. So, there's so much that's unknown for Falcon at this point going forward, especially for Heavy and also for Falcon 9. But I guess time will tell. But if they want to launch Starship Polar, like they can do that from Starbase Louisiana, like easily above anywhere else.
It's funny to me how Vandenberg turned from. I remember 6 years ago when everybody was thinking SpaceX will just basically abandon Vandenberg because there was no use in Vandenberg. I literally saw people writing, like, honest to God, journalists saying that SpaceX was basically removing themselves from Vandenberg and removing people, and they did for a very short amount of time until they realized, haha, we can put Starlinks also from Vandenberg. And that's when, it sort of went boom in terms of the launch cadence. Now they launch more there from Vandenberg than from Florida. So it's just hilarious to think that they need a launch site in Louisiana to launch to Polar, right? Like, they could have done that from Vandenberg, but it takes a long time. There's not a lot of room there. But think about it. If they abandon Vandenberg, how quickly do you think any other company will try and get Slick 4 East or Slick 6 once SpaceX goes away? Because I can think people like Blue Origin, Stoke, or Relativity just trying to get one of those. Because if they are going to be on the bandwagon of launching also like orbital data centers, they're just going to be all into this sort of thing of launching into polar orbits. And the Cape, sure, you got the Southern Polar Corridor, but it's not enough. You need a huge performance penalty from there, whereas Vandenberg, it's quite easier. So I can think of that sort of, pile up of people trying to get those pads in the future.
Aiden, thank you for becoming a Pad Wrap member. I'm definitely hearing more activity from the pad. Yeah, you can see there on the right-hand side. Good progress, finally.
Probably related to the work that they've been doing.
Yeah, it looks like a purge.
But there's still some cars hanging around the booster transport stand there, and they also just turned around.
Well, let's see what happens then. Just gone 9:30 in the morning local time. Been live for about 2 hours now, so we patiently await what we believe is going to be a static fire test of Super Heavy booster number 21 on Pad 2 in Starbase. Mark Cantu is asking, how will the re-entry corridor look like for Starbase, Louisiana, for when they want to catch a ship? That's another great question. We were just talking about launch trajectories, but of course re-entry trajectories are going to be equally important, especially if they're going to be doing polar launches from Louisiana, because, well, they're going to be, either they have to re-enter from the south, going over Mexico, Guatemala, or coming in over the north.
Hey Ryan, the transport stand is heading back towards the launch site.
That's the wrong way, SpaceX. The wrong way.
That's not the right way. You know what I was just thinking? Because I just noticed that the methane recondensers are on, which means they're running methane back to the tanks at the moment, rather than reclaiming it, I think, to reuse it. The fact that the transport stand's going back, that's
Ryan, what they've done is they've parked the transport stand. They've then got bored and got on Twitter or YouTube or whatever social media platform of choice, because we're on all the socials, by the way, all of the social platforms. Find us NASASpaceflight, and they've gone, oh, we've accidentally blocked NSF's view. Let's move the transport stand ever so slightly back, and then we'll park up so we're not in NSF's view. That's definitely what's happening. So I bet you.
Let's think about that.
In about 40 seconds' time, they're going to stop the transport stand once again. We'll have a beautiful view of the flame trench. That's what's happening. Mark my words. Mark my words.
Someone clip that.
Yep.
See, they're about to stop. Trust me. Right?
Right? Yeah, stop it. Feel free to stop it at any point now, SpaceX. Oh, boy.
There, you can
Anyway.
stop there. It's already out of
Yes.
the trench. SpaceX, we're good. Like, here. Just no more.
There.
Stop it. Where are you going? Why are you doing it? No.
And now. And now.
Well,
What
at
was
least we
it?
get to hear SPMTs again.
What was it, Max? Do it, right? And you
Do
and you then, yeah, you summoned Ship 41 to do its static fire test.
True. But I don't have that much control over a booster transport stand, no. That power only extends to Ship 41.
You know,
Unfortunately.
the last 2 static fire machines I've been on, they've had GSE problems. I think I'm bad luck right now.
You and Jerry Pike alike.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not the reason 2 boosters have blown up, or 2 vehicles have blown up, okay?
Let's see. Hang on. Who was on commentary during Ship 36 explosion? And oh, it was Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at how many
But-
streams
but
I've
who
been on
did
where things have gone right, though.
Yeah, I got you there. Admit it.
What? Wait, okay, sure, but like, look at how many streams I've been on where things have gone according to plan. Like that ratio is like far outweighs what's gone wrong. Albeit the weight that Ship 36 carries is quite heavy, but still.
If it is of any use, my very first time commentating a Starship stream, it was Booster 7's Spin Prime, the one that, turned into not a Spin Prime.
That was
So
your
my very
first
first
time?
one.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
God.
And look how
you
things
know-
have been going ever since.
You know, I was just thinking, I'm trying to remember the last time SpaceX closed the road. Oh, there's the work trailer. Okay, that's not great either. I'm trying to think of the last time SpaceX closed the road, went to test a booster, and then scrubbed it.
You said the S word.
I know
Well,
I said
I
the S
mean-
word, but I can't remember the last time they've done that. Usually, and I will say this: if I know it runs till 9 p.m. But I kind of doubt they would close the road again today, unless they can fix it by 1 or 2 p.m. or something like that. Even then, part of me kind of doubts they would close it again. They would probably just try again tomorrow. But
If I were to guess, go ahead, Max.
I was just going to say, maybe they, obviously, whatever they found inside the service structure, there was enough to warrant them at least having the doors closed and having them cleared out. And maybe that vent that we saw after that is related. But I don't know. That I wouldn't say that bodes well for a rapid turnaround test today after they. Or if they're able to have that repaired before the window closes for today, but we'll have to keep an eye on the website to see if the beach closure for today is completely revoked. But yeah, I would say it's not looking good for the rest of today right now.
And here comes back the lonely singular SPMT.
Is that a load spreader?
it's called a Versabar. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so a fancy load spreader then.
That sounds like a granola or a breakfast bar or something.
Versabar.
But it's those Versabars are load spreaders for multiple, wide load spreaders and things like that for multiple different applications, things like that. Usually yellow ends with a blue middle tube, basically.
Well,
Versabars.
they ran out of blue paint, I guess.
I mean, it looks more like
it's
yellow ends
black.
and a rusty tube.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And of course, the booster transport stand is to follow next. Headed in the wrong direction. Back towards the launch site.
And I will say this. I doubt there's anything wrong with the booster. This is very likely a GSE issue. They're only rolling the transport stand back, so it's just sitting at the launch site and not in the middle of Highway 4 because they can't really leave it there. So it'll just be parked on the launch site, and they'll fix whatever is wrong on the launch mount itself, which, well, first time they scrub using this launch mount, at least with a with just testing. So, first time for everything.
30 launches a day, am I right?
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that they're going to have to iron out before they get to anywhere close to that cadence, right? I mean, imagine if Falcon 9 every single time it tried to launch, it did this. They had these kind of issues early on, and then they were able to iron those out.
If you recall, actually back to around this time of year, back in 2020, I'm going to say its name, and the NROL 44 mission on Delta IV Heavy, that scrubbed. That was a full hot fire abort due to GSE issues. Then followed, there was a Falcon 9 launch from 39A and 40 in the following weeks, both of which scrubbed due to GSE issues. The one from 40 was fixed pretty quickly and then launched shortly thereafter. And then the one from Pad A scrubbed, I think, 2 more times. So SpaceX is no stranger to having GSE issues. It's just a matter of finding out what happened and how they can fix it so that obviously it isn't a common issue going forward. But this launch mount was designed to be used very, very, very often. So I'd imagine whatever issue this is may or may not be a quick repair. I'm not sure.
I'd assume it's probably a repair over the course of the day.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mentioned Falcon 9 because it did have a lot of issues early on. I'm surprised that Starship hasn't had as many aborts and scrubs and things like that as it did. We had, when was it, Flight 12 that we had the quick disconnect pin thing, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And it's not been very often that we have had many of those issues on launch day, of course.
There was also Flight 9 or Flight 10 where they had a leak spring
10.
in the Flight 10. So there was a leak on the SQD, which had to be fixed. And
that
then
was more than a leak. The main lock supply line on the SQD burst open.
Well, technically a leak, Ryan. And then we had there wasn't a scrub between Flight 2 to Flight 10. I don't think, if memory serves correctly. There
was a scrub on Flight 8. I know there was a scrub on Flight 8.
Oh, there was. That's right.
I was in Texas for Flight 8. And
if
if you cast your minds back to March 2025, you might remember that I caught a massive American virus, which made me very unwell. And I was not very well for the first launch attempt.
I remember that.
And when they scrubbed, EJ can attest to this because I was with EJ at the time. I was jumping for joy when that thing scrubbed because I felt much better the next day when they launched. So I'll put that on the record.
We had way better luck between flights 3 and 6. I think those actually went on the very first T0 that they set up. Well, I think one of those did
two
slide
held for a bit.
Yeah,
but
it went in the same day that they tried, the very first day.
Yeah, Flight 2 never got into the actual countdown. An issue was found, I think, with a grid fin actuator at that point on booster.
Oh yeah,
9.
I wouldn't call that a scrub.
Yeah,
that was more of a delay.
All things considered, we had pretty good luck in between Flight 2 to Flight 8. That was a really good run there.
Yeah, and I know Crispy in chat will probably be, well, Shuttle was worse, but I'm the Falcon guy, so I will say, the things that I do remember from the early days, it's boy, I mean, it was not even early days by then because it had already been running for 6 years at the time, but I do remember SES-9, for example. SES-9 was so horrible, oh my goodness. They tried 4 or 5 times before they even went into the final attempt. And they scrubbed for so many silly reasons, from the propellant load not being right because they were still tweaking subcooling and everything, and there was a boat on the range. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it was at a horrible time of the day for me as well. So yeah, I still remember those times. Trust me.
There was also, oh gosh, what was it? I just lost my train of thought. Oh dear. What was it? Oh gosh, what was it?
I remember when Trevor went down to Florida and he was
There
going to
was
see two
also-
Falcon 9 launches and missed them both.
Yeah,
'cause it was
CSG2.
so
Yeah.
funny.
See,
Yeah.
don't you
2021?
dare mention CSG2. Don't you
Yeah.
dare.
I dare and I will, because that was not even the older. Like I remember also another one that they delayed really often, which was Intelsat. Oh my goodness, I forgot. Intelsat 35E, which was an expendable mission, which not a lot of people were really willing to see, because it's an expendable booster at the time of landing every other booster and everything. And it was just so funny because it was the only launch for like another couple of months, even because it was the only one after that was a CRS mission. So that was the only reason for us to watch it. And I still remember that it kept scrubbing at T-minus 10 seconds, literally going down to T-minus 10 seconds.
Do we even dare talk about Artemis 1?
Oh goodness. That hurts
Well,
as well.
If you think Artemis 1 is bad, may I introduce to you, I forgot what it's called now. Hang on, let me check next spaceflight. It's going to be a really good joke if I completely messed up my timing. So
I thought you were going to say
onward and
Spectrum as well.
upward. Onward and upward. That's what I was going to say.
God.
Oh,
there you
yeah.
go. Yeah. Yeah, that's
I mean, then-
the kind of thing that companies have to deal with, right? Not just SpaceX, but
I mean,
boy.
the Delta IV Heavy NROL 44 was supposed to
yeah.
launch in August of 2020 and didn't fly until freaking December. So like it's like this kind of thing.
Wasn't
has
that a
happened
year?
before.
Didn't that have like it was a year long of scrubs? I thought for that.
No,
for that
I think the whole I think the vehicle as a whole was on the pad for a year, but it didn't try to launch for the first time until August of that year. And then obviously I think it hot fire aborted the first time, almost got to engine ignition on the second try in September, and then after that it delayed like well into December. Then that's when it finally flew. But yeah, just a bunch of painful missions to talk about.
Bottom
Funnily
line
enough,
is,
on nextspaceflight.com, Onward and Upward is the launch immediately preceding Starship Flight 14. Obviously, that is nothing of substance whatsoever because they're just net September right now, but we'll see.
yeah. Bottom line is, we hope to get at least all of these things sorted out eventually.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, the more launch pads you have, the less chances that the launch pad will be the problem, because if you've got a problematic launch pad, you just take the vehicles off, put it on a different launch pad, and launch it.
Especially if they are all
more
copies
better.
of each other.
Yep.
And here comes the booster transport stand, making its way back to the launch site down Highway 4. Plenty of remote cameras set today for this test. All they're going to see is a face full of SPMT. Cheeky look at one of those little campy things.
Yeah, the whole lamps. Nyum. That's a really good view of the clamps,
Yeah.
gotta say.
Standing by
I
before
need to-
SpaceX takes down any posts of the clamps on X.
I need to pull
dear.
one of these clips for showing them on stream, because those are really good to
That
like,
might be
show the
that might be
clamp
the best
system.
look we've had at those yet.
Yeah.
And there she goes. Another view there.
And
just-
beach open text.
Ah,
And
There's
it
your
looks
sign.
like it got removed from the website, making tomorrow the primary.
Well, thanks,
Well,
SpaceX.
very quickly, I will go back to you on the next steps, but I do need to just quickly thank a few people who have been supporting us, despite the fact that SpaceX has literally done nothing today. Nigel, thank you for your support. David, Little John, thank you for gifting 20 Red Team memberships in chat. So if you receive one of those, make sure to thank David in chat. And Bideford, always in chat. Thank you for your ongoing support. As always, looks like the guys wanted to get 20,000 steps in today. Indeed. Despite that beach open text, there are a couple of things to consider. First of all, there is a transport stand in the middle of Highway 4. The beach is physically inaccessible right now, and the road remains closed physically, despite what the text says. There you go on the left-hand side. Still plenty of vehicles queuing, although that will probably reopen within the next few minutes. But Ryan, what are the next steps for SpaceX? What windows do they have remaining to test Booster 21, assuming that they can resolve whatever GSE gremlins they had today?
Well, as of right now, they've got one window, and that's tomorrow, which is now the primary, 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Whatever issue they ran in today, they don't think they can fix it in time, or they just don't really want to go through the rigmarole of fixing it, then clearing out everything again, and then closing it all down again. And they're just going to do it tomorrow. And then we go through this all again, close down the road, get the tank farm to chill down, press forward, and hopefully not run into any issues, and hopefully get a test done tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if they put out an alternate date or a backup date for the 28th. That would not shock me if they put one out there for that, just in case for some reason they can't get it done tomorrow. But that's kind of what we're looking at. I would expect the road to open, or at least those cars to move, as soon as the transport stand gets into the launch site and the road at the beach actually is accessible. But yeah, unfortunately, SpaceX ran into some GSE issues today, and with the beach closure gone and everything, they have scrubbed the attempt to test Booster 21 today, unfortunately.
It is unfortunate, but that is what goes on with testing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you get a scrub, but fingers crossed we do get a static fire sooner rather than later. Of course, Flight 14 kind of depends on it. Anyway, the question I was asking before I was rudely interrupted by SpaceX moving the transport stand back to the launch site, Alex, Mark Cantu is asking, what will the re-entry corridor look like for Starbase Louisiana for when they want to catch a ship?
Well, since most of the flights are going to be polar from there, right? They can just come up from the south. Just like, you launch to the south. On your other side of the globe, you're going to be going up north, right, from the south. So you just wait maybe 12 hours, and now the up way will be on the side of Louisiana. So, yeah, south to south, you can say, southern state. I don't know.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Did the SPMT stop? I can't tell. Or is it just moving really slowly?
I think they're about to start turning into the launch site now. About to.
Yeah.
One step to the side.
And a grackle in the foreground there, of course.
Something to keep Gage entertained.
Gage actually controls them.
Is it mind control?
The grackle wrangler Gages.
In your own time, SpaceX. Whenever you feel like it.
There she goes.
Tick, 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 tick.
Almost feel like we need some reversing sensors as we back into the launch site.
Beep, beep, beep.
Beep. Beep.
Keep going. Keep going.
You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Pivot. Pivot.
Pivot, pivot, pivot. Not to the right, to the right. There. Okay, you're good. You're good. Now the
Keep
other
going.
way.
Keep going.
The left. No, my left. No, your other left. That one. There.
Your other right. Your other
No,
right.
your other right.
You can push it a little bit more. Hang on. Like there. Just go a little bit further. There you go. That's it.
For anyone who knows the Top Gear episode where they're building trains out of cars, this is when they're backing up the Jaguar on the rails, and Richard is just like, "You're all right, you're all right, you're all right, you're all right." Like that's what this is right now. Or SpongeBob being, "You're good, you're good, you're good."
Well,
It's not like it's Austin Powers the 400-point turn.
Oh God. What a classic movie or series that is. Oh my God.
ODST Moody, thank you for your last minute support. Grackles Engage actually share a hive mind, if I recall correctly.
Be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Maybe one final question we can talk about while we await the road to open. R.A. Ray is asking, have SpaceX explained why Louisiana instead of Texas? I don't know if they've given a definitive answer, Max, but what would you assume would be the advantages of Pecan Island over somewhere else on the coast of Texas?
Real estate. They have a lot more land over there that they can use, whereas a lot of the land they're currently using in Starbase is in very close proximity to to property owned by the Fish and Wildlife, which is a lot more difficult to work with. That being said, though, the land that they are going to have in Louisiana is as I think it was Ryan who was saying it earlier in the stream, or maybe it was Alex. But the amount of land that they're going to have in Louisiana literally equates to just how large the Kennedy Space Center and the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station are, from the very top of Launch Pad 39B down to Launch Complex 36. Like, that's how much land they're going to have to work with in Louisiana. Like, that is a ton of real estate. And for how much they want to fly, how much they want to build. They need all the land that they can get, and they're also probably not going to be limited by public roads over there either. So, nor are they going to have the
big reasons,
and they're also not going to have the restrictions of the Kennedy Space Center and the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station either. So, go ahead, Ray.
The two other big reasons: one, in Texas, and this is the issue they run into with Starbase, is they don't own the beach. You cannot own the beach based off the Texas Constitution. Louisiana, there's no such thing. The beach that is going to be in front of those launch pads, they will own it. They can close it whenever they want, for however they want, and they don't have to tell anybody. It doesn't matter. I think
calling it a beach is probably a bit of a strong language, but I understand your point.
But the other reason...
Bunch of land with water.
Yeah, the other reason is because Louisiana is a bit more lax, even more lax than Texas is in terms of environmental stuff. And their deal with Louisiana is probably going to be to try to bypass as much as they can. That's one of the other reasons for doing it, so that they can have a little more leeway with getting stuff done. So that's the other two reasons, big reasons why. So yeah.
And also, they're in much closer proximity to any liquid natural gas reserves in the Gulf. Like, that is also a very, very big positive there as well.
Won't somebody think of the oil rigs? Sorry, I had to do it.
And it looks like road's open now.
Creeping forward.
Road's open, but you're stuck in first gear. What are you waiting for?
I was like, you can speed up, or...
Do you need a push?
You need to... Is he coasting? Did he like push forward and then go into neutral? Like,
Okay, we've got more traffic flow now. All the cars are following through.
Wave at the camera.
I was just gonna say that.
He's looking at the camera. I know it.
I think he's looking where he's going. Probably, the wise move.
I was just joking, Ryan. You cannot really take my jokes as literal things.
Well, with that beautiful end to incredible testing today. So much learned, so many beautiful views. Let's do it all again tomorrow. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pity that we did not have any tests today, but whatever. I may not be able to join tomorrow though. There's a script to write. So yeah. But hey, fun.
Max, thank you for coming on as always.
Pleasure as always, and hopefully we get to do it again tomorrow.
Ryan, same to you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your insights as Booster 21 does nothing.
yeah. The tank farm did tank farm stuff, but yeah, it kind of stinks that we didn't even get into prop load. They had some issues with the server structure. But either way, I'm ready to go for tomorrow. Yeah, so hopefully they can get the test done tomorrow.
Thank you to Jay Keegan for pushing all the buttons behind the scenes as always, and to the Starbase Live team, almost 24/7 staffing we have now of our SBL operators, which is pretty incredible. Moving the cameras in Starbase, Texas. Do we have to call it Starbase Texas Live now? STL? And then Starbase Louisiana
1.
Live?
It's Starbase 1 and Louisiana is Starbase 2.
Well, I'll give you a little inside baseball, as the Americans say. We have behind the scenes multi-views like we do for members, but actually for us all the time because we need to see the cameras, right? And we have 2 multi-views of Starbase, and they are called Starbase 1 and Starbase 2. So does that mean we'll have Starbase 1.1 and Starbase 1.2 multi-views?
I guess.
Or just Starbase OG.
I thought it was funny. Okay, I thought it was funny. I've been Ryan Cater for NSF. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.